Welcome to Mindstone Games channel. At Mindstone Games I don't just do miniature games, I also do print and play Hex Encounter. I started last year and it very quickly got to this stage, which is a mega battle, 4-page mega battle with like over 100 units. This is the Siege of Caerlyon from Hex General, and it is an experience to play this game. It's a commitment, you have to cut everything out and learn the rules and so on, but it's a completely different experience. Basically, the barons here, the fallen barons, are throwing everything into the siege of Caerlyon to kill Aldrian King, who's the last heir of the Leonards. So if they defeat Aldrian King, the Leonards will collapse, and then there'll be no coherent force against them. So the Baron army is basically loads of militia, loads of low-level troops, and then you've got some more elite units, and you've got a wing of flyers as well, a whole cohort of flyers. And in reserve, you've got these cult maguses. Where are they? There we go, cult magus. And they can open up astral gates to bring on your demonic reserves, which are shadow titans, which are living siege towers, and Azrathi warriors, who are deadly demonic warriors with magic weapons and magic armor. So the barons are like this really powerful horde, and it's a logistic nightmare because you take up so much space, and you need to coordinate an attack against Caerlyon, which is the capital of Arcane. And here's Aldrian King right at the top in his castle. He can't actually leave his castle. And he's got Sir Peltor, the Mage Bane, and Mercuriel, who are two really elite defenders. So the Caerlyon army is at half strength because half of the army was lured out, the First Royal Cavalry was lured out to face an army of phantoms. So most of your cavalry are gone. You're at basically half strength against this. So it's like Caerlyon would basically be finished, no matter how elite they are. But thankfully for them, there's some reinforcements coming. So in the previous 4 scenarios, you basically do set up different characters and you do different battles across the realm. One of them is in Grandel, and the army led by Michel de Grandel comes to relieve the capital after they get attacked. So you've got some Grandel heavy cavalry and a few random units, Pegasi and whatnot. So they're quite safe up there in the northwest. Like, they're the safest of the reinforcements. In the southwest, you have the Feywood contingent, who are sent by Sir Ulhadar to relieve the capital. They're led by Ceridwen Swiftbow, who's a horse archer, kind of Fey elf. And the Feywood army is very light. It's quite light cavalry. It's basically a raider force to chew up and take out a few Baron's units, but you definitely cannot charge into this huge horde and make it alive. So the Feywood army tends to like hit and run. If the Barons put pressure on them, there's very little they can do because there's a major river there blocking them. So they're kind of they can be in trouble, but the Barons will have to commit forces to them. From the southeast, you have the Drakensberg contingent led by Count Strauss there. He's basically a eccentric composer and swordsman and a general, and from Drakensberg, and they tend to specialize in heavy infantry and units like that. So a small contingent, again, the Barons could focus on them and defeat them, but they're basically there to chip away at the flanks, these kind of reinforcement forces. Then you have the Ardo contingent led by Captain Remenant. In the first scenario, Captain Remenant discovers demons among the Barons, comes to warn the guards at Caerlyon, and they don't let him into the city because he's a commoner. He's not of noble blood, so he doesn't actually get to warn the king. So instead he just hides in the Great Copse to ambush the horde. However, the baronial horde is massive, and the Ardo contingent here, they're not terribly powerful, but they'll take a little chunk out of the Baron's horde. Then the Barons have some allies. These are the bandits coming from the northeast, led by the necromancer Matilda van Mortis. You might see her there. These bandits are a nuisance, really, but when you're fighting against a really powerful army, they can be more than a nuisance. So you have to kind of commit some troops to the eastern wall and guard the Azelhad gate, because these guys can otherwise slip into the castle. So you've basically got the main Baron's army, the half-strength Caerlyon Guard, and then you have the Leonard reinforcements of Grandel, Feywood, Drakensberg, and Ardo, versus a baronial horde who can summon in demons and shadow titans and have the aid of these nuisance bandits. It is such an epic scenario. The strategy you need to play this game is different to regular war games. It's like a logistical nightmare for basically everybody. You have to get your troops into position. You have to start moving into position a few turns before you need to be there, basically. So it's a die and learn kind of situation, as my friend says. The only way to get good at this kind of scenario is to play and try. And eventually you start adjusting your thinking to get good at it, because it is a challenge. With the Barons, you have so many troops, but the real question with the Barons is, where do you send your elites? Because you can kind of attack the Leonard reinforcements and focus on killing them first, then lay siege, or you can hold up the reinforcements with your lesser troops and then go for the Arvana gates, smash your way through, and then try and kill Aldrian King. In every single playtest, and there was over 10, it comes down to the last few dice. I think there's a 15 turn limit or something like that. There's a turn limit. So the Barons are actually, they have to rush in. You can't hang around. It comes down to the last few dice rolls. And Aldrian is really hard to kill. He's got 5 magic saves. So basically 5 down on a d6 to save. Very difficult to kill. The Caerlyon contingent's quite important. You've got the bandits to hold off, and you have to decide who to put on your front line. You cannot abandon the walls. You just lose. You just get swarmed. The walls are like your main and most important defense. However, later in the game, the Barons bring on loads of demonic troops with magic attacks that just go straight for your armor, and whether you're on walls or not. So later in the game, your magic defenders like Sir Peltor and Mercurial, and I think there's some Red Grail Templars, units like that with magic defense become worth their weight in gold, because they're the only things that can resist demonic attack. So the Caerlyon defense is tricky, and then how you use your reinforcements, like you can send Grondel in to reinforce, or you can come down here around Fort Fenric and chew up the baronial horde and do a sacrificial charge. There's so many different strategies you can do in the Siege of Caerlyon. I strongly recommend checking it out if you have the patience for it. It's on Wargamevault. It's just Hex General Fantasy Edition. There is so much you can do, and it is such a fun experience. It is also quite a grind. My games are often quite light, and that's the whole point of them. This one, a lot of the basic rules are straightforward enough. I'm not going to lie to you. You can only really get one game in per session, because you just I guess there is a kind of exhaustion at the end of it, because you've just had all these units, all these decisions. But the more you play, the more you learn, and it's great to command, a horde of like 70 units, and then defenders with 4 smaller reinforcement contingents. Because normally in war games you have 2 equal sides, which is all well and good. But in this, it's not like that in this game at all. Like in this scenario, it is kind of overall quite balanced, but still it feels like you don't have like an even battlefield, and it's just a whole different experience. Yeah, I strongly recommend it. It was so much fun to do, and I'll be doing some more Hex General soon.